I stood in places where the map will soon be wrong. Pacific island states slowly vanishing under rising sea levels. Glaciers retreating, creating big lagoons, reshaping the Arctic landscape. Coral reefs bleaching, slowly turning into white stones. My name is Christian Klauwers. I'm a documentary photographer and visual storyteller with a mission. My camera is my witness, because when I return from expeditions back to Europe, people still ask me, is climate change really real? Is it really happening? Well, for the last 15 years, I've been using my image as a tool. Image can be an instrument. You don't need, it's a universal language. You don't need to translate it. I build bridges between the industry, between the scientific world, and the world of diplomacy and policy. The year is 1984, when the Nordic countries, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, Finland, and Iceland, decided to put 20 wooden crates, boxes, with similar seeds, endemic crops growing within their national borders, inside a particular place, a coal mine, an abandoned coal mine in the high Arctic on an archipelago called Svalbard, or Spitsbergen. It was a longevity and viability project, which is still going on. We're learning a lot about it. How long can we sustain seeds? How long can we keep them? Because our biosphere is in decline. Sixth mass extinction is what they say. Out of this really interesting experiment, again, which is still going on, they've put a container, and here you see the wooden crates, and every 5 years they will open crate by crate, and they check the viability, but also the pathogens that were naturally present once these boxes were sealed up in '84. Out of this came the idea to do it over, but to construct artificially 130 meters up high in actually the same mountain, what is now called the Svalbard Global Seed Vault, a seed crop safety facility for the world. Every single country in the world has now put boxes there, endemic crops, not manipulated. So it's 11,000 years of agricultural evolution being stored in 3 different rooms. Capacity for 4.5 million seeds. Now we are at, I think, 1.3 million. It's the largest collection of the world. It is a safety backup for gene banks all over the world. Genetic strings. This photo, remember, a documentary photographer, I don't manipulate my images. This is what is called a whiteout. This is the natural existing environment of some people on this planet, indigenous people in the Arctic. Sami, Inuit. We can learn a lot from these people. They hold, I think, at least part of the key for the climate change solution. Because these people, they survive and depend on this kind of environment. If you put me there, I probably get eaten within 48 hours by a polar bear. It's really hard to find your way. These people have built a certain kind of resilience because they adapted. Their environment is changing really rapidly. I go to the high Arctic the last 15 years, and I've put this example for you. This is how it should look like. This was a photo I took in winter, late winter, sorry, in 2013. This is that exact same place right now. No more ice, no more snow. It's changing, and it's changing rapidly, 4 to 6 times faster than anywhere else in the world for the case of Svalbard. A big consequence is that soil also warms up, not only atmosphere. So it's getting muddy, it's getting swampy, it even cracks open. There is a certain layer called permafrost. And the active layer, which is the top layer, which you see here, up on top of the ice, that active layer is getting larger and larger. Permafrost getting deeper and deeper, year after year. It has major consequences. And some of these sinkholes and mud streams are really very, very visible now. But we have huge amounts of methane stored deeply in the earth, and they're all being released, these gases, greenhouse gases, being 84 times more potent in keeping that heat trapped in our atmosphere for the first 20 years compared to CO2. Global warming. Global warming affecting not only people and plant species, but also fauna. For example, this mythical creature called the narwhal. Narwhal adapted to sea ice. It doesn't have a dorsal fin anymore, so it can hide. It can find pieces of sea ice and hide for its main predator, which is the orca. But sea ice is in decline, and we see that already. The question is, will this animal be able to adapt in time, or will it get extinct? We also see migration patterns already. Another example, perhaps the face and symbol of the Arctic, the polar bear itself. Polar bear needs sea ice to travel. Although it's a marine mammal, it uses the ice especially to hunt. Without sea ice, less opportunities to eat and potential starvation. And we already see that. Now we go from the high Arctic to the other side of the planet, Antarctica. The emperor penguin, another symbol. Same story. They need sea ice to build up colonies, to breed, to molt. Also Adelie penguins. And once in a while you read in the news that entire colonies are being extinct because sea ice forms too late or melts too early. And then the chicks that come out of the eggs, they don't have the time to adapt their feathers. The feathers need a certain time to be waterproof, so these chicks drown. Now, the power of photography is also showing what is at stake. This is the penguin party. You can see that. It's an iceberg. It's fresh water supply. This is a similar iceberg, just a different photo. It shows you the problematic. It shows you the next crack. It shows you a big chunk is already missing. This calves off and floats and drifts north to warmer water, saltier water, and melts eventually, contributing to sea level rise. Now we have one ocean. All water on this planet is connected. And it is especially on island states, such as in the Pacific atoll states, that people are facing existential threats. So this is a photo of the Marshall Islands, but also islands like Tuvalu, Nauru, Kiribati, or Kiribati, as they say. They have, sometimes their highest point is 2 to 3 meters, and they're really proud of it. That's our highest hill, 2 meters. This is a photo in Ebi, quite difficult to get there. Ebi is in the Kwajalein Atoll, and this is a photo of a place that is highly densely populated, as you can see, but it also shows you how these people really try to survive. In the upper right corner of this photo, you see how they used explosives to create construction material out of the bedrock to build seawalls, which you see if you have a really good look south of this village. You see already how they constructed seawalls. Seawalls are now the new reality in all of these Pacific Island states, especially atoll states. There is some form of infiltration of salt water. Water that once was the bridge to the neighbor, to the next island. Seawalls and more seawalls. This is Tuvalu, narrowest country in the world. Coastal erosion. The ocean gives the biosphere oxygen, but it also takes away. It takes away land. Wading through the water. This photo is really helpful when I try to explain to people. Sometimes I have this conversation and they say, oh, 1 centimeter, you know, who cares? Well, look at this photo. That's a daily reality for these people. 1 centimeter is really the difference for them. This is Olango Island Group, traditional fishers in the Philippines. There is another aspect, of course. If you can't crop, if agriculture is not an option anymore because your soil is salty, well, you have to import. besides the problematics with plastics, which is another topic, it does leave traces. You have to think before you buy. You have to import everything, and then you have to manage that waste. This is an example of an exception. It's a very small and really hard to get to island. It's called Lip, L-I-B. And Lip has a natural lake, as you can see on this photo. It has a freshwater lake. This is the exception on 99% of these island states. 0.03% contribution to emissions, causing global warming, yet 99 point and so on percent of impact. So it's really future generations what this is about. Adaptation is also the big question. Will we and plant species and fauna have the time to adapt? Flying fish took their time to adapt to this beautiful creature that can escape from predators. So we need to understand our ocean to solve this question as well. The ocean, long underestimated, is really the source for life. We all know that. But without a healthy ocean, there won't be a healthy planet. So we need marine research, we need scientific work. This is a photo of the Belgica. I'm from Belgium. This is the latest research vessel of my country. And they work around the clock. They work day in, day out, measuring, deploying instruments, looking for variables like temperature, salinity, conductivity, currents, because everything is changing. And we need to understand this change. We need to measure, to observe, to put it in sheets, in data sheets, to conclude what is going on and how we can cope with this crisis. We have to also take measures and samples from the ocean surface all the way to the bottom with this CTD, rosette as it is called. In 2023, I deposited some of my work, mostly these atoll states that are disappearing, and also the work on the marine research vessel Belgica, in what is called the Arctic World Archive. It's another vault trying to preserve the past for the future on a specific film, completely analog, no electricity, no water, completely sustainable, that can last for 1,000 years. So that people in the future can look and see how we did, with which instruments and methods, how we really tried to understand the ocean. So they can see these island states that will soon be below sea level. People that see, and we witness this environmental change, but it is also a cultural loss that is inherent to this problem. Now, this is also, probably there will be a question in the future. Did they know? The answer is yes. We know and we knew. But of course there is a difference between seeing and knowing, and perhaps that is the power of photography. I tried really to capture what is getting lost, what is vanishing, before it is extinct forever. And perhaps I can encourage you all to also become record keepers for this beautiful planet that surrounds us. Thank you very much.